This is a special occasion. It's a special occasion for a lot of different reasons. Not the least of those is you're here to exercise your right, to exercise your religion as you will. But I have some news for you. You're celebrating not only your religion today, but something that happened in the summer of 1787. Anybody know what that is? That's when they drafted the Constitution in Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Why is that important? Because but for that Constitution and the amendments to that Constitution later ratified, you wouldn't be here. Why wouldn't you be here? Well, to make a long story really short, is because in order to understand the present, you have to understand the past. And I'm going to read you a couple of things that you might want to think about. In Virginia, it used to be a crime to exercise your religion in certain ways. In point of fact, early in Virginia's history, it was a crime to be a Quaker. And a Quaker could be physically beaten for being a Quaker and just physically being present in Virginia at the time. You could be imprisoned if you were a Quaker. Various states had various religions they sponsored. Other states didn't. In Virginia, back in, 1659, 62, and 93, it was a crime not to baptize your children. It was a crime to permit Quakers in your home. Quakers were punished if they returned. Indeed, they could have been, although none never were, punished by death by being in Virginia. Well, what does that have to do with today? Well, over the course of American history, you found that various religions became dominant in certain, what we consider now to be states, then territories, or governances. And for example, if you look at the British Isles, except for Scotland, that was primarily the Church of England. And that came to be known as the Anglican Church here in Virginia as we know it. In Scotland, they were primarily Presbyterian. In the Netherlands, they were Dutch Reformed. And the Catholics predominated in France and Spain. Well, what does that have to do with today? Well, there was a time when you may have been taxed, even though you weren't Anglican, you may have been taxed to support the Anglican Church by the Commonwealth of Virginia. People don't know that. But the church was supported, I should say, by Virginia, and the taxes against everyone to support the state-sponsored religion, which was sort of driving the bus at that particular point in time. Indeed, there's a case called the Parsons Cause that was tried in Hanover County, right down there in the courthouse that still exists there today. And in the Parsons Cause, there was a case where the Anglican Church was due 16,000 pounds of tobacco as a tax each year to support the clergy. Well, back about the time this occurred, there was a drought and there was a bad harvest, so all of a sudden tobacco was worth a lot more. And that gave the clergy sort of a really huge geometric increase in pay. And some people took exception to that. So they, in the House of Burgesses, passed a law, said, well, you can pay that at 2 pennies a pound. The king, George III, vetoed that. That meant that was a nullity and the clergy were going to be rich. So they were sued in a court in Hanover County by Patrick Henry. And Patrick Henry's father was actually the judge. We wouldn't have that today. I wouldn't try a case with my son as the lawyer. I'm just guessing there might be some nepotism, but that's what happened. And they decided that yes, the clergy were right. They were entitled to be paid. But the jury settled on 1 penny a pound. Now, what does that have to do with anything? It has an awful lot to do, because this particular Anglican church, as I indicated, was a moving political force. That's no longer true. And it's no longer true because of 1787 and our founding fathers and because of the amendments to the Constitution, all of which we enjoy here today. And that's what we're, at least in part, celebrating, because that's the reason you have the freedom to celebrate as you are today and worship as you wish. It's interesting to me, and I just give this to you as a side note, that one of the principal antagonists that created the revolution, of which we are the benefactors, or beneficiaries, I should say, was a guy by the name of Thomas Paine. You remember him? Wrote a book called Common Sense, didn't he? And that was the fuse that lit the revolution. Indeed, George Washington, right here from Virginia, has been known to say, and did in fact say, that but for the pen of Paine, the swords of Washington would have been in vain. That's what he said. And that's very important. It's important for more reasons than, quite frankly, are obvious. It's especially interesting because Thomas Paine wasn't a Christian. He was a deist. He believed in an almighty God, but he did not believe in Jesus Christ. But he was an advocate, and a strong advocate, for each individual's right to exercise their thoughts and their religion as they wished, even if it wasn't his. And I'm going to read you something he wrote from France, because I think it is very, very powerful. Because after the revolution here, he went to France to participate in that revolution, and in the second year of that revolution, he wrote a document called The Age of Reason, and he sent it back to the United States to be published, and it was addressed in its foreword like this: Fellow citizens of the United States of America, I put the following work under your protection. It contains my opinion upon religion. You will do me the justice to remember that I have always strenuously supported the right of every man to his opinion, however different that opinion might be to mine. He who denies to another this right makes him a slave of himself to his present opinion, because he precludes himself the right of changing it. The most formidable weapon against errors of every kind is reason. I have never used any other, and I trust I never shall. Your affectionate friend and fellow citizen, Thomas Paine. What you do today in the exercise of this religion, in the exercise of this day, in the exercise of your religion, the exercise of your choice, is the bedrock of American freedom. Without this freedom, the freedom to exercise your religion, the freedom to exercise your speech, this Republican government would have collapsed long ago. So I encourage you, as you are here today, to exercise your rights in every circumstance as you see fit. But to always remember that with that is tolerance for those unlike you, as Thomas Paine articulated, who was the fuse of the revolution. You're to be applauded for being here today. And we are to applaud our forefathers, the founders, I should say, our forefathers, for giving us this beautiful day, this wonderful right, and the opportunity to worship our God. God bless you all.